You've just clicked on this video because you want to remove those money blocks from your subconscious mind. But that's not what you really want. You might think that's what you want, but what you really want is to remove these money blocks from your life. But in order to do that, we have to remove them from our subconscious mind because we know through research that our subconscious mind controls 95% of our thoughts, emotions, actions, and decisions. So, in other words, your subconscious mind controls 95% of your entire life. Okay. And this was me for years, reading books, knowing all of this information, but my flipping subconscious mind was working against me. So I was never getting any results, no matter how much I knew about manifestation or thinking, positively, doing affirmations. Nothing worked for me. Now, I want to do a quick study session with you guys on this book, You Too Can Be Prosperous by Robert Russell. It's an absolutely fantastic book. And I want you to just pay attention to what I've just put up on the screen, okay? It says, how do we know that prosperity and poverty are states of mind? Like, how do we know that? Because every effect is exactly like its cause. If there were no poverty thoughts, there could be no poverty conditions. So are you living in lack and limitation right now? And I'm not judging. I used to be there for years, right? But are you? Like, are you living in poverty? Well, that's a condition, that's an effect, and the cause is your thoughts. If you're having thoughts of poverty, you cannot expect to attract abundance and prosperity into your life. It's not going to happen because every thought triggers a feeling, and feeling is the language of your subconscious mind. So anytime you have the thought that I have to struggle to earn money, money is hard to earn, there's never enough money, you're just embedding new money blocks into your subconscious mind. You're literally printing the results that you don't want into your subconscious mind and therefore attracting more of it. Robert Russell, I find that so powerful. Robert Russell said, if there were no poverty thoughts, there could be no poverty conditions. And that is so true. Because when I was younger, for those of you that don't know me, I grew up in a place in Manchester on a council estate, right? And if you're watching from the US, you might call that the projects, right? All I seen was poverty. No one around me had money. So my subconscious mind was formed as yours was when we was children. And because poverty was just the normal thing around me, I naturally, habitually got programmed to start thinking poverty. So guess what? My condition stayed until the age of 26. You guessed it, poverty. But when I got mentored by Bob Proctor, when I started really diving deep into this material and really implementing it the way it's meant to be implemented, and I started thinking prosperous thoughts, those prosperous thoughts were the cause. There's a law of the universe called the law of cause and effect. And because I was having prosperity thoughts, what conditions arrived? Prosperity. Now I live in prosperity. Now let's think about this, right? Cause and effect is just another way of saying thought and condition. Every thought that you have is going to manifest a condition. Do you want to live in lack and limitation? Of course you don't, right? But you've got to learn to start thinking the truth, start thinking about what you want. Pay no attention to poverty, to where the money's going to come from next month. We don't manifest things by thinking about their opposite. We don't manifest loving relationships by sitting there all day thinking about arguments. We don't manifest prosperity by sitting there all day thinking about how am I going to make money? Where's the money going to come from? I'm stressed out. I've never got enough. It's just common sense, but common sense isn't so common. Now it says to have an outer condition, which is a result, we must first have an inner concept. As a man thinketh in his heart on the inside, so is he on the outside. So before a condition can materialize in the objective, it must first be thought and believed. This is the law, and that is why the poor man must tune out of his mind all the depressing and limiting thoughts that hold him in a state of depression. He must not only eliminate the troublesome thoughts and beliefs that are operating in his consciousness, but he must refuse lodging to any other thoughts that may oppose his good. So I want to give you a challenge that's going to last a week, okay? For the next week, you are going to think about nothing but prosperity. Use the affirmation, I am prosperity. I know you've got bills to pay. I know you don't know when your next client's coming. I know the rent's due. You know, you've got a car payment, you've got a mortgage. I know all of this stuff. Okay? You're not going to think about it for the next 7 days. You're going to block it out of your mind and you are going to solely focus all of your thoughts on prosperity. Now, all those other thoughts of lack and limitation and where the money's going to come from, they're going to die through lack of nutrition. We're not going to feed those thoughts anymore. Okay? For the next 7 days, use the affirmation, I am prosperity. If a negative thought comes in, cut it off before it even has a chance to finish. Oh, but Joel, where are you going to get the money? I am prosperity. I'm thinking prosperity. Don't even let the thought finish in your mind. Replace it with your new affirmation, I am prosperity. I am only thinking about prosperity for the next 7 days. Now, what did Robert Russell say? Let's go back to that. That is so powerful. I don't read many books. I just read the same paragraph over and over and over again until I go so deep into it. It says, if there were no poverty thoughts, there could be no poverty conditions. So for the next 7 days, you are not going to have no poverty thoughts. So all these poverty conditions that you've been living with, they're going to fade away. How did he fade away? It's none of our business. Where is the money going to come from? It's none of our business. It has to come though. That's the law. Okay. So what are we going to start doing? We're going to start having prosperity thoughts. That's going to manifest what? Prosperity conditions. Look, make the challenge. I'd love to know how you get on. Comment on this video and let me know how you get on with this 7 day challenge. You are only going to think of prosperity. Some great tricks to remind you to focus on this habit for the next 7 days is use little things that you do daily. So if you like a cup of tea and you make, 5 or 6 a day, every time you press your kettle, say to yourself, I'm thinking prosperity. Every time you get in your car, you open your front door, you turn your key into your front door. I am thinking prosperity. Soon it will become habitual and you will just be automatically thinking prosperity. And those prosperity thoughts are going to manifest prosperity conditions and they're going to remove all of those money blocks from your subconscious mind because your thoughts are impressed upon your subconscious mind and your subconscious mind is being programmed by the thoughts that you have.